New York Times reports that Delta will be giving workers 5 days of paid leave if they test positive. And the airline recommends a COVID test before returning to work. But a key union official says the airline's new rules are dangerous. Sara Nelson is the international president of the Association of Flight Attendants, tweeting last night, "Dear CEOs, your business needs are not worth the life of a single worker. Cutting isolation time to 5 days will mean more workers will die. Full stop. Don't do it." Sara Nelson joins us right now. Sara, we kind of knew that this was the direction things were heading. The airlines had asked last week for the CDC to relax those guidelines. Once they did, it was almost a sure sign that the airlines would follow suit. What's your response so far to what we're hearing from Delta?
Well, Delta is the only one who's put out a policy that is changing their support of workers with sick leave and changing this to the 5-day quarantine. So they were on it right away. Other airlines have not done that, and we are interfacing with them. I should just point out that what the airlines were asking for was a 5-day quarantine for breakthrough cases, not for vaccinated and unvaccinated people. And they were also asking for a testing protocol before returning. So this went beyond what the airlines were asking for. Our concern now is that Delta has met those new standards from the CDC, but also not communicated that part of the CDC guidance is that someone should be asymptomatic when they're returning. And so that support for workers who are still sick is not there. And the thrust of this is around pushing people to come to work in the middle of this busy holiday travel season where Delta has not properly planned on staffing issues, and we've seen these cancellations. And I do want to recognize that some of this is about weather, but the thrust of Delta's request to the CDC was about staffing issues, not about public health guidance. And so CDC has been clear that approximately 90% of the cases will not be infectious after 5 days. That means that we're admitting that there will be some that are entering our workplace, and we're putting people in a position of coming back to work before they're better and spreading the virus more and putting more people in jeopardy.
So Delta does not allow for any additional days off if you are still symptomatic as a worker?
That's what their policy seems to suggest. And it is a strong arming workers to come back to work before they are ready. This is also, there's a hint of a threat of discipline behind that as well. And we're not seeing that from the other airlines. So I just want to remind you, too, that we don't have the backing of a union contract for the flight attendants and many of the workers at Delta like we do at the other airlines. United Airlines, American Airlines, and others are interfacing with us and have not updated that policy yet. They're going to work with the unions through this and try to put something in place that makes sense. So that's what should be happening here, because workers are worn out. Becky, you and I have been talking about this pandemic for almost 2 years. They've been on the front lines dealing with conflict and dealing with the stresses of the pandemic. They have gotten sick themselves. Many have died. And they are now feeling like this is not a supportive policy of them. This is about trying to write them into work when they're worn out, stressed out, and feeling really beat up.
You know, I can understand both the employer side of things and the union's position on this. I will say that at a time when we are looking at airlines having to cancel so many airlines, I can understand why they would want that relaxed guidance in terms of people for breakthrough cases, like you said, and in terms of people who are asymptomatic. And it would be nice to know that they had a negative test before they came back in, too. I mean, I think not only for the health of the workers, but also the flyers who are going to be flying with these people. Why do you think Delta has pushed things so far, and what has the response been from the company when the union has brought these issues up?
Delta has not responded directly to the company, but you bring up a really important point. It is so important that we have policies in place that the public can see and that they can have confidence in, because air travel demand returned when the vaccine became readily accessible. People felt confidence in buying those tickets, and they also feel confidence in air travel because of all the communicating we've done around the controlled environment on the plane, the HEPA filtration, and wearing the masks, the deep cleaning, and the reduced service procedures. So all of that is important for air travel return. And you're right, they could be putting a policy in place here that makes a lot more sense and engenders confidence both from the employees and from the traveling public, with testing, with reducing this down to just breakthrough cases. I think that we can be a lot more human about this and be a lot more effective and not have long-term pain from having a policy that's going to extend the pandemic rather than doing what we can in aviation to ending it.
You said that Delta is the only one that's done this. The other airlines, if they are speaking with the union right now, what do you think a reasonable policy is?
Well, we have a letter out to the airlines, and we believe that the 10 days should stay in place. But we also want to talk with them about what they were suggesting, that this be applied only to breakthrough cases, that they deal with this on a case-by-case basis, that they have a testing protocol before people are returning to work, not just a strong recommendation from the company and it's on the employee to get that done. So there's a lot of things that we can do to make this policy a lot more effective and supportive for the workers, making sure that they're not forced to come back to work if they're still sick, placing additional conflict in the workplace. If you can imagine anyone coming back to work who is sneezing, coughing, not looking well, that raises anxiety at work among fellow crew members, among the passengers. So it's important for us to dialogue through this and understand how we can be more exacting about a policy that supports people coming back to work if they are better. And if we can confirm that they are no longer infectious, that's great. And we should do that. And we should give people the freedom to be able to do that. But we want to be able to support those cases where that's not true and where we do need to give people a little bit more time to feel better. And then communicate to the public that we're doing all of this so that everyone can continue to have confidence in buying those tickets.
But you would not be opposed to the idea of somebody who's been vaccinated, has a breakthrough case, is asymptomatic, and wants to come back after 5 days should be able to do that, right?
I think that is perfectly reasonable. And these are the kinds of issues that we can talk through and work through and have a policy that makes sense.
Can I just ask, in terms of mask wearing, I mean, I think that's where part of the confusion comes down on this. All of us who live in the real world have been in workplace situations and know what it's like when there's a mask, a mandatory mask policy. Most people don't wear it very well. Most people don't abide the entire time. And if they are wearing one, they're wearing one of those cheap cloth masks. What is it like on an airline? Do people actually follow the masking rules fully, in terms of the employees, I mean?
In terms of the employees, we see that employees are following that. And most airlines have been very clear about what people have to do and have had a zero tolerance policy around mask issues for the employees. So our experience is that the employees are consistently wearing those masks and modeling how to wear those masks for passengers and other travelers through our airports.
Sara, I want to thank you for your time. It's always good being with you, and we hope you keep us updated on where things stand on this front.
Thank you, Becky. Appreciate it. Happy holidays. Happy New Year.
You too.
Happy